YouTube. This is probably going to be a little bit of a short video. It's about movement speed, specifically in D&D and Pathfinder. Now, my experience of D&D is from first edition, which I started back in like 78, all the way up through 3.5. I have not looked at fourth edition at all because I don't really consider it D&D, and I haven't actually taken a look at a fifth edition. I actually plan on that at some point in the future. I just haven't. I'm a big fan of Pathfinder first edition, and I'm sorry, but I haven't looked at Pathfinder second edition yet either. It's only so many hours in a day. And from first edition all the way up to Pathfinder first edition, first edition to D&D, for Pathfinder first edition D&D, movement speed for a human has been 30. It was absurd that it was 30 back in first edition because it was a 1 minute round. But now it's a 6 second round. The concept being is you can move 30 feet in 6 seconds without exposing yourself to too much danger at your movement speed. Unless you are directly in combat. If you're disengaging in combat, you expose yourself to danger because you're trying to disengage from combat. But 30 feet for a human has always kind of bugged me. I'm not going to argue about the amount of distance. Okay, we'll say 30 in 6 seconds makes sense in a tactical combat situation. We'll just ignore that point. What's always bugged me is that every single human moves at exactly the same speed. Every single halfling moves at the same speed. Every single wolf moves at the same speed. Everything moves at the same speed. We know this isn't true. We have built entire sports around the fact that animals and humans do not move at the same speed as members of their own species. Yet in D&D, every human moves at the same speed. And I can actually remember, I think it might have been first edition, where we had a situation where someone needed to run away. And there wasn't anything else they could do. If they'd stayed in the situation, they would die. So they ran. But they were being chased by an orc. Now, since they ran first, fine, you've got the lead. But then we were stuck with the situation on our hands. Everybody's moving at 30 feet. Or the equivalent running, but that's the speed. Their base speed is the same. Maybe this video is going to run longer than I thought. So, how long can they do that? I don't even remember if there were rules for running in great details back in first edition. But essentially, we got to a certain point where we said you could run for X number of, minutes at a full-on dead based on your con points. And then you started having to essentially make, saves to see if you could continue. And I think actually the player character lucked out and that the orc lost their save first and the other guy got away. But that's always bugged me. Always bugged me. Well, I've been doing a reread of Everstone Blood Legacy. And it does something, and it's a very simple rule where your speed is based on your dex. So if you were a medium-sized creature, it is your dex times 3, which means a normal everyday human has a speed of 30. And a really clumsy person who has a dex of 7 has a speed of 21. And a really fleet-footed individual who has a dex of 15 has a movement of 45. This makes perfect friggin' sense. It makes sense to me that a really fleet-footed human could outrun your average dog if they really had to. Or keep up with your average horse, because actually humans are better at running over long distances than horses are. It's just if you're riding a horse, you don't get as tired. You can take more stuff with you. You're telling me I'm having performance issues. I apologize if I'm actually having performance issues. I don't know if I am. So, does this make sense to folks? Should we, in fact, be basing our movement speed on a stat so that it varies from person to person to person? Because I got to tell you, if my wife and I had to run a race, she's going to leave me in her dust. I am a slow-ass human. The old joke, white men can't jump. I am the poster boy of white men can't jump. I can't run either. I just don't do it. It's not my thing. I'm a fat old man. So it makes sense that me, who probably has a dexterity in the 6 or 7 range, because I am not a dexterous person. I wasn't all that dexterous before I got neuropathy, and now I can't feel my feet. And now that I don't get any haptic feedback from my feet because I can't feel my feet, I'm even more clumsy. I am less dexterous. I have actually fallen down because I turned too quickly. Yep, I just turned my body too quickly, and I flat out fell down. Someone witnessed this happen, and their response was, I didn't do a thing! And they were correct. They didn't. So, you think this makes sense? Should we be basing this? And Everstone does talk about that large creatures is 4 times their dex, and small creatures are 2 times their dex, which then does, in fact, track with the base 3.5 rules, which is, I believe, Everstone based on 3.0 or 3.5. It might be based on 3.0. I'm not positive, but it's based on the big-eyed, small mouth D20 game, which is a point-based system from D20. And actually, I'll be talking about Everstone again in the near future because I had never gotten around to reading the supplement that came out for it. So I'm rereading the main book before I read the supplement. So let's talk about movement speed, because it's always bugged the crap out of me, and this is an elegant, simple solution that can be implemented like that. And I don't think it will adversely affect anything in any game.